Hey, what's going on, YouTube? It's the brain of the mainframe, Nile, Scala here, and yes, it is our very first Halloween special. And I am happy to announce that I have a special guest host and an amazing guest on the show, Mr. Howie Noel. Howie, are we doing tonight?
Doing great. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, man. So, what do you got going on today? Any parties? Anything happening? A costume ball?
My niece is here, and we're having a little party watching a bunch of horror movies and Simpsons, the Simpson Halloween specials, and handing out candy.
Very cool, very cool. And you're not getting that storm that's coming through, are you?
No, but it's been raining all day. It's just, it's weird out. It's like really warm, but it's Halloween, and then it's rainy, so it's bizarre.
I hear. I've only had about 8 trick-or-treaters to the house. Well, my wife is. I get to watch on that Ring doorbell app.
Yeah. I've got the Ring set up. They have new ringtones. You can get the Addams Family. So anytime somebody comes up.
Very cool. So we've got 2 great guests on tonight. Howie, if you don't mind, I'd love for you to do the pleasure of introducing them.
Sure. We have these are both good friends of mine. I love these guys. First, I don't want to. I know it's. Should I do the introduction? I don't want to mess up the introduction. I'm not usually the one that has to do this.
I just wanted to put you on the spot, Howie.
You did.
Put you on the spot.
I don't even have anything to read.
You don't need to read, Brood. It comes from the heart. These are friends.
It comes from the heart. Yeah, I'll do one, and you do the other, because I'm a guest host, aren't I?
A guest, and the guest gets all the privileges. You know what? We'll get right into it. All right.
I feel like I was pranked.
You were pranked. You've been crowdfunding comics punked right now.
Oh,
Happy Halloween, buddy.
You'll have to edit this out.
No, this is live, bro. This is how we do it.
Great. Well,
Clean and
I look
uncensored.
totally awkward. I have one of the co-hosts of Beyond Reality Radio. He was also the publisher of TUCCI'S magazine. All-around great guy. Runs it's Scaricon, right? And his name is J.V. Johnson.
Gentlemen, welcome. I should say thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming on the show. We're very happy to have you. Long-time fan, long-time listener.
Thank you. That introduction from Howie still has my head spinning a little bit. I'm not really.
Oh, it's awful. I hate it. I'm not doing the next one. I'm not gonna insult 2 people I know.
We've got New Jersey's finest paranormal expert, New Jersey Paranormal's John, and I'm gonna murder your last name, John.
You are gonna. It's Ruggiero.
John Ruggiero, everybody. Yes. Welcome, John. Welcome.
Could we have Howie try my intro as well?
Yes, Howie, let's try that. This is where we all need to do a quick shot.
All right. New Jersey Paranormal founder.
Yes.
A Chucky-obsessed fan. A man who loves murdering dolls.
A Chucky obsessed. Chucky's not for me. Chucky is absolutely not for me. Growing up with 2 sisters, that didn't work. The dolls were everywhere.
The new Chucky, the new AI Chucky, right? Right, Howie?
Oh yeah. I like the AI one. That was fun, but it was like goofy. It was like a comedy one, which I liked.
It was gory though.
Yeah. It was very gory.
Had to be comedy. When you go to AI for Chucky, I don't know, something just changes. The whole thing.
Yeah, it was like Black Mirror. It was like a Black Mirror episode,
It was really funny though how they made him the way they made him, how he became evil. They just kind of took off all the protections from the AI, and he just went ballistic.
Yeah, it was like
an
angry employee. Sorry, we just spoiled Chucky, the new one. Sorry, guys.
They can just download it.
This has gotten off to a weird start.
They can download it. So I've invited you guys on the show because I'm a huge fan of the paranormal ghosts. Have a lot of experiences myself, and had done a lot of local ghost hunting here in Connecticut with my own little group. And I'd love to just kind of have that chat. Normally we talk about comics on the show, crowdfunding. That's where Howie and I met in discussing his kickstarting campaign for Paranormal, the complete webcomic series that is coming to a graphic novel. And I just love to take a break from that tonight and just talk about ghosts and paranormal adventures, things that's happened, stuff. And JV, if you don't mind, you have an amazing podcast, and I know you have a co-host, Jason House, that comes on. You also have a great guy that fills in when you guys aren't able to. And just give us a little brief description about what you're doing with Beyond Reality Radio.
All right, yeah, that'd be great. Jason Hawes and I, really rewinding, Jason and Grant, back in the early Ghost Hunters days, did a show on a local radio station in Providence, Rhode Island. It was called Beyond Reality Radio. But they found that, the stresses and the time constraints of filming a hit TV show meant that they really didn't have time for radio. So they shelved it. But once Ghost Hunters went off the air a few years ago, Jason reached out to me and said, hey, you're a radio guy, because that really is my background, is broadcast. He said, how would you like to resurrect Beyond Reality Radio with me? And I said, hey, I'm in, all in. So we started with a weekly show just streaming on the internet. We did that for about 6 months, Monday nights for 3 hours. And it was received so well that Entercom Radio noticed us. And Entercom is the second largest radio owner in the country. And they decided to pick up the show and syndicate it. And then Westwood One got involved. So fast forward 3 years later, we're on about 100 radio stations around the country, Monday through Friday nights. Plus, the show is packaged the following day as a podcast. And we do a live YouTube stream of the show as it's airing. And we also archive it on YouTube as well. So all the episodes are there. So that's the nuts and bolts of it. And what we try to do is we try to find people who are making news within the paranormal community, whether it's ghosts, Bigfoot, UFO, conspiracy. It doesn't really matter as long as it's unusual and strange. We get them on the show and we talk about it, and we have a great time doing it. We take listener calls. We have a very vibrant chat room, and it's the highlight of my night every midnight, Monday through Friday.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Now, JV, if you don't mind me asking, what got you started into the paranormal?
Well, I think my story is very similar to many. And if I back it all the way up, I started watching a television show in the mid-'70s. It was Leonard Nimoy's In Search Of. Mm-hmm. That started to pique my interest, and I was just awfully curious about things like the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot and the Bermuda Triangle. And then there was a film called Chariot of the Gods that was bouncing around the same time, and it talked about aliens being here before the whole ancient alien discussion. And that's what started it. And then as I started to get a little bit older, I actually had an experience where my grandmother, who had passed away, it's actually my great-grandmother who had passed away, appeared at the foot of my bed. And I was too young. I was a young teenager at the time to really understand what was happening, but that fueled my interest in the ghost part of the paranormal community. And you put all that together, and once you have those questions in your head and you have that curiosity in your heart, all you can do is pursue it. And that's what I did. And my professional career as a broadcaster intersected with my paranormal interests on and off throughout my life, and that's how I ended up here.
Oh, very cool, very cool. And John, I'd love to get a little bit of your origin story. I mean, how did you get into all this paranormal investigating?
Yeah, see, my story isn't like most. I've been in the field a long time now, and I know a lot of people have similar stories to most of the people in the field had an experience when they were younger. They lived in a haunted house. My hands are going to go, the Italian in me, it's coming out. But my interest in the paranormal came strictly from the fear of death, really. When somebody close to me died, and I was sort of late teens, and I realized that, hey, this thing ends for all of us, and I don't have a strong religious background, so my quest for answers sort of came from the fear of what happens next. I couldn't just rely on the book or the faith of we all go to heaven, and my quest for answers was basically based on, I needed to know, was there something beyond? So I had my first paranormal experience in actually Gettysburg. And from then on, that was probably in my late 20s, I started doing more research. I started attending lectures and reading books and talking to people in the field. And then from there, formed New Jersey Paranormal. and it's been years and years and years since then. But I've experienced enough within that time frame. I don't know exactly what happens, and I don't think anybody does, but I do know that there is something beyond what we are living now.
Now, since you you kind of were looking at kind of the fear of death and what you've done, let me just ask you: is it something to fear?
It's the great unknown. They call it that for a reason. I wish I knew that the story was true, that we all meet up with our loved ones and everything's great. Our pets are there and everybody's there. But I don't know that for a fact yet. But I've talked to enough people and I've investigated enough homes. I've talked to people that have died, several people who've died and come back. And they all tell similar stories that there is something beyond, and they went somewhere and they experienced these things. So it gives me more hope and faith that there is something beyond.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I hope that as well. Howie, I know we've discussed this before on a past episode, but for anyone that's new to this or anyone that's going to watch this stream, how did you get into it? What was your first experience?
When I was really young, I grew up in an older house, and there was always one room that I didn't like to go in, and I always knew there was something wrong with that room. And later on, I had an experience where we were in a house. I was in a house with an ex-girlfriend, and there was a bad feeling within this place where we were staying. And when they couldn't get one of the doors open they wanted to get something out of the closet, I think like a broom. I went to go do it, and something was pulling back, because you know what a locked door feels like, or a jam door, and when something's pulling back on the door. And I was like, that's odd. And then when it just didn't feel good, and then when we got out of there, the lights run off and on, back on, and so that always intrigued me, and I've always been into the subject of the paranormal. And then later, when I saw Ghost Hunters, I was my first introduction to people that do investigation. I didn't know about that. Like, nobody around me knew about that. I didn't know you could there's actually ways to go about and research stuff, and that caused me to go out and meet people in the field and learn what all groups do locally. And just I read everything, and researched everything, and I've gone on to investigations on my own, and it really helps further my comic too. So having that knowledge, I then use in my art, and I've been obsessed, since then, since discovering that you could investigate the stuff. I didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah. Now, JV, when did you start getting into investigating?
Well, the funny thing is as a kid, my parents and some of their friends, and my parents were young for being parents. My mother was 18 when I was born. My dad was 19. So they were in their, 20s and 30s as I was growing up, and they would get together with some other friends, and they had this big van. And they would pile us kids in the van. They'd be in the front of the van, and we'd be driving around, quote unquote, ghost hunting. And what that entailed was going to reported haunted houses and sitting out front of the house and seeing if anything was going on, or going to a cemetery. And there were, as every community has, all these local legends about, these spurned lovers that were killed and their bodies were buried on each side of the road, and at midnight their spirits meet in the middle of the road, and that's why there's so many accidents in this particular place. And we'd go to those places and we'd sit there, and the kids would be having a ball, but we'd also be kind of, oh, this is kind of creepy, whatever. So that was kind of it. But very much like Howie just said, I didn't really know there was an organized way to do that.
Yeah.
I didn't really know there was equipment that you could use to actually help substantiate some of this stuff. And I, too, became an early fan of Ghost Hunters. And during the first season's airing, I went to an event that they held at Rolling Hills in New York, here near Rochester. And I met the guys, and I actually was able to see firsthand how this was done in a very organized fashion. And I was blown away by the whole concept. And it was very soon after that I developed a business relationship with Jason and Grant and published the magazine. And that's how I met Howie. And it just spiraled from there, or snowballed from there. And I'm still fascinated by the fact that this can actually be done in a bit of a scientific and an organized approach, as opposed to just sitting in a cemetery and waiting for something to scare you.
Mm-hmm. John, now, and I have a question for you. Now, you have you founded a group. And JV and Howie, are you a part of groups in your local areas?
I am. I actually have helped the local group in Cooperstown, New York, where I live. I've given them some guidance. I've given them some instruction. I've done some presentations for them, but I'm not really a member because I just can't contribute locally because I'm traveling so much.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me. I don't want to offer something that I can't deliver. I am a member of the TAPS organization and work with Jason and others in that group when I can. But beyond that, nothing local.
Okay, all right. So, and Howie, yourself, what are you doing, or do you just do your own?
Yeah, I'm not in a group per se. I try to just get to know everybody and learn from them, And if I get a chance to go on an investigation, I will. I'm just more into the research and into learning. I love hearing people's stories. So if John runs the New Jersey Paraunity Expo, which I just got to be a vendor at, and I'm going to be there next year.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and just meeting people there and hearing their stories. Everybody that goes there has a story, and hearing them is fascinating to me. I just love it. I'm not there to skeptically debunk your story. That's your experience, and I'm so interested in it. And I love that there's a common belief and stuff, and it's one place that I can go where my work is appreciated. Everybody gets it. You go to other shows and they're like, ghosts. I don't know. They don't get that. And I don't do normal stuff. And then go to a paranormal event and they like it and they get it. So I really just enjoy being there with that community.
Mm-hmm. And John,
that's sort of the beauty of, you mentioned Taps and Jason and Grant. They sort of made it mainstream, the paranormal, and they made it acceptable for people to just talk about it. And, they opened up the field and they made it wide open. Before then, it was taboo. People thought you were kind of nuts if you talked about a spirit in your home, but they sort of brought it right to the mainstream, and now it exploded. In all these years, there's so many, paranormal groups. They're everywhere now. So they had a lot to do with that.
The evolution of the equipment. I mean, because for me, it's the same as always. I had the experiences growing up. My mother owned a preschool, a daycare that was in a very old home that we converted to a commercial building, and it was just so much activity. My first apartment had incredible activity. My second apartment had incredible activity, and then what was it? 2003? Was that when Ghost Hunters aired?
About that.
Yeah, about 2003. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, wow, you can actually do stuff. And I'm looking around because I have a bunch of hobbies, right? I have a lot of weird stuff. I got, video cameras, this and that. I happen to have an EMF meter. Why? I don't know. But, construction. And then I was like, oh, I could use these things to investigate. And we did, and it's like you said, Ghost Hunters brought it to mainstream. And then you have, then the podcast started coming up, Beyond Reality Radio. I mean, it's another great source for information and media. And it's awesome how everything's evolved, I mean, there's a lot of, interesting things out there, but there's a lot of great things out there.
The equipment is good, but you have to know, when we do our lectures and we do paranormal events with the public, we kind of educate them on, none of that stuff is ghost detectors.
Yeah.
That's not what that stuff is, what you're doing. You're kind of measuring changes in the environment based on the theory of what spirits are. I mean, that's really the stuff that you're using. And a lot of people just grab the meters, like you said, a K2 meter, and it could be a wire in the wall making that thing go off. And people think it's a demon and they go running for the hills. You should do your research. That's what I tell everyone in the field. It's not just about putting a black shirt on and creating a logo. It's about research and resources. You really have to know what you're doing, especially if you take on private cases. You just can't go into somebody's home and just kind of emulate what you see on TV, because it's a totally different world.
Yeah. Now, have all three of you been involved in private cases?
I have.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I have as well. So
let me ask you a question, and this may go more towards you, John, since you've created a group, you manage a group, you run a group. I mean, for any viewers out there that are watching this or will be watching this, I mean, first off, when's the right time to form the group, and what's the appropriate way to do that?
Um, God, that's a hard question because I probably didn't do it the right way to begin with because I was inexperienced and I thought I could just do it, because I thought I could. But years have gone by and I've met so many people and I've done so much research to where I would recommend kind of joining an experienced group first and kind of learning from them before you even consider starting your own, because there's liability. Like I said, especially with private cases, you can make things a lot worse if you don't have resources and you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. And when you say a lot worse, if you don't mind me asking, what has been, let's say, the I don't want to, maybe the scariest experience or worst experience you've encountered in an investigation?
Well, not necessarily the scariest one. It's scary for the people. We had a couple contact us who claims that a local group came in. They were all quote unquote sensitives, and they told this couple that there was a demon in their home, and they trapped the demon in their bedroom. And they told them, don't go in your bedroom until you figure out how to deal with this thing. Jeez. And then, no, I'm not kidding. This couple would not sleep in their bedroom for about 2 or 3 months. There was crystals in every corner. And the husband suffered from PTSD. He collected Civil War objects. There were noises all through the house that we were able to explain. But, that kind of thing it happens. And it's scary because these people believed everything they were told.
It's horrible.
None of it was accurate.
Wow, that's incredible. Howie, I mean, what's the same question for you? I'm actually going to bring this one right around the table.
Well, I had one of the freakiest experiences I had. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the last show, but was when I went to Fort Mifflin, which is located outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I had something following me there. It really, really liked to talk to me apparently, and it was interested in me. You would do the flashlight thing, which is like you get a Maglite flashlight, and you can twist it to a certain point. That what it does is if something energy or can touch it, it'll turn on. So you can use that for yes or no. And I was able to go. It was so frequent and so constant, and it was that I would go, oh, you're blinking, ha, 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 and it blinked with the laughter. I could go like this towards it, and it would lessen the light. I would go back out, it would bring it back up. It made all the lights go up in the room. When there were several flashlights and K2s, it lit them all up at the end of the night. It rolled towards me, the flashlight. Like, I've never had experiences like that, like at Fort Mifflin. I said a prayer before I left there because if I didn't need a new friend. Really felt, because it wasn't answering questions about itself. It just liked to talk to us, whatever it was. And it would help us. Like I was like, is because my friend heard footsteps. We were in an area where they kept like prisoners, and we were there, and it was like a little wall, a little cubby hole, and I was hiding with the flashlight, and my friend was like, we hear footsteps coming towards you. And I'm like, is something coming towards us? And it lit up, yes. And then you could hear the footsteps coming in the dirt. So there was like crazy experiences like that. That was the most fascinating thing that I've been a part of.
In JV, same question for you.
I have several that come to mind, but only one that I want to share at this point. And I'll just throw some places out. I've had great experiences at Rolling Hills. I've had great experiences at Eastern State Penitentiary. And I've had fantastic experiences at the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. And that's what I want to share. I was doing an investigation there with, I was actually with Grant's wife, Rihanna, and a couple other people, including Amy Bruni. And we were in, what I don't even remember what the name of the building was. It wasn't the main building of the hotel. And we were using a Frank's box type device. And we were getting some weird hits on that. I'm not a real fan of that particular piece of equipment. However, we were getting some anomalies that made it interesting. But then we started to get what I can only describe as dark energies and dark shadows. We all saw some very dark masses moving through this particular building. It was kind of like a barn. And as those masses kind of accumulated and congregated near us, all of us were feeling this tremendous sense of dread. And then we started to get some amazing EVPs that were corresponding with it. And I can't quite describe the feeling, but I've never felt in danger before when I've done an investigation, but I felt like I was in danger. Mm-hmm. And we ended up finding out in that building there was a Native American connection to it. And I'm not one of those people who thinks that everything Native American is spiritual. I don't believe that. However, there was a Native American connection to this particular building. In fact, at some point, I guess there were some prisoners held in it for some reason or something. I don't know the details of the story, but it was in that location. And I wouldn't go back in the next night. It was so powerful, and I can't explain it. I don't know what it was. But all of us in the room felt the same thing and all had the same experience. And that would probably be my most, I guess, if you're asking for scary experience, that would be it. I also want to mention something that John touched on. Too many people think that this equipment we use when we investigate is ghost hunting equipment. And John hit the nail on the head here. It's not. It measures fluctuations and different things in the environment. Whether it's related to a spirit or not, we still aren't quite sure.
No,
right, John? I have not seen the definitive proof. I can only use that in collaboration with other information I have and other experiences to determine whether or not I think there's something going on there. But we have to be careful with this.
Yeah. Now, and I'm glad you guys you touch upon that, because a lot of people do think, and there's a lot of people out there that you can go on eBay, you can go on things, and it's like they're selling this as ghost hunting equipment, and they're trying to create these things that I think fool a lot of people in buying stuff. I happened to see one, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, that's a moisture meter. Like, it's not they call it like a touch. But I'm like, no, it's a moisture meter. It's not. That doesn't work like that. Like, it physically needs moisture to set something off. And if you touch it, because of the moisture in our bodies, that will set that off. But it's never been truly successful. And it's a certain device I've seen. But now, speaking of being touched, have any of you ever been touched? I've been touched, and it's still, when I think about it, it's still something that freaks me out, because I actually had something jump on me, which was a very unnerving experience. Yeah, I don't like it. But JV, we'll go around with this question. Have you been touched?
Yeah, I've been touched. I've been scratched.
Mm-hmm.
I've had all I can describe are like red, almost handprint type marks on my arm. None of that has scared me per se, but it's a pretty cool experience to have if that's what you're looking for. If you're looking for some type of interaction with something from the other side, that's a pretty good one. But the scratching, I don't necessarily look for that, but when it happens, it happens. It's pretty obvious. So yeah, I've had those experiences.
Now, when you get scratched, because for most of us to witness that, it is on a show, right? It's on a show, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, look what's happened, okay? But what is the actual experience? Is it just all of a sudden the burning sensation? Do you feel the hand or claw?
Claw, that's an interesting way to describe it. The funny thing is when it happened to me, I didn't notice, at least I don't think I recognized it when it happened. I noticed it afterward. Like later, all of a sudden I'm like, what the heck's on my arm? I'm kind of itching, and I look over and I'm like, oh, there's this long scratch mark on the back of my arm. Now, I don't know exactly when it happened. I didn't notice it at the time. And I don't know if that's a function of the fact you're so, focused on other things that you're not necessarily in tune with what's going on in parts of your body or not. But I noticed it after the fact. So it's a hard question to answer.
Okay. John.
I've not been scratched yet, but I've for years and years and years, I always wondered about attachments, and I know people talked about it and said they've had them. I had something attached to me of my neck and my arm. It was really cold, like ice cold fingers, and it wouldn't leave me. It followed me everywhere I went. I would walk 3 feet away from where I was, and I would return to room temperature, but then I would feel the same cold on my arm and on my neck. And I knew whatever this was just kind of following me and staying with me. And I woke up the next day with my head pounding, like someone was digging into my temples. And I actually had to go see a friend of mine who's a medium to do some Reiki on me and just talk to me, which again, I'm not a big believer in that stuff either. But in this case, I really did feel like something was attached to me. So that was kind of bizarre.
Howie, man, anything grabbing you?
No, luckily, no. I've avoided that. I've heard sounds, like screams, and had a whisper before very close to me, but luckily, no, I have avoided being touched, thankfully.
Is that an experience you would like to encounter?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I would react to that. I don't know. That would be pretty unsettling for me. I hear of people getting their hair pulled and stuff like that, and the scratches. I have never been in a place where it's like been physically interactive. I've heard, but I was at Eastern State, and it was after an event ended. We're allowed to roam around there. Place was empty, of course, except for us, and they were in a separate. We were roaming around where you don't normally get access to, and this huge metal slam happened, like this loud sound, and we're like, "What the hell was that?" So we run down, and there was nobody there, and nothing there, and the only thing we decided could have made that sound is the beds. So something lifted up the bed and slammed it down, because there was nothing else. It sounded like a car wreck, and so I'll take that over something scratching me.
Well, that's the thing too. If you're going into these places and you're investigating the paranormal and you're going to go into, you've got to be open to everything.
Yeah.
You've got to be willing to expect anything or experience anything. When you mentioned going into Rolling Hills and those places, if there are spirits there, and they are the spirits of people who were there, a lot of these people weren't nice people, good people. These people hurt people, which is why they're there. So if they do have the ability to make physical contact or affect the living, well, how do you think they're going to do that?
Yeah.
So this is what I mean about people being naive when they do go into these buildings and these places, and a lot of them do go in for the thrill, but there is the possibility of anything could happen in theory.
Yeah, you have to prepare yourself when you go in.
Exactly.
Realize, and if you're uncomfortable, get out.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's no, oh, you're a wimp or anything. There's nothing like that when you do these kind of things. If you're uncomfortable, get out. And I've been in a place where I'm like, I don't like being in here, so I leave. It's just that, that's your safety is most important, than anything else.
Now, would you say, and speaking for myself, I believe this, like your intuition knows, you are sensing something, and when it's uncomfortable, it doesn't seem right, you should get out. Do you believe that your body can pick up on that?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. I've been at a place where the temperature in the room changed, and it went from being a normal thing to awful. But that happens in life, every day. When somebody you don't like shows up in the room, you get a feeling. When somebody that doesn't like you shows up, or at a workplace where there's a bad person, your body alerts you, hey, we don't like this person. Or you walk down an alley, you ever make a wrong turn in the city and you're like, uh-oh, we should head back. That's the same kind of feeling that you get. I don't have quote unquote abilities or anything, but I can go, oh, this place creeps me out. I don't like how this place feels. I was in a room we were in a hotel, and the room changed the mood, and we all felt it. Everybody felt, oh, it's awful. It's like when a bad person walks in a room, or you're at a bar and then somebody bad comes in. It's the same kind of thing, except you're dealing, with spirits.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm the opposite. I got to play it out. I got to see where it goes. Because again, if you're in this field and you're going to help people, you've got to experience. You have to.
Yeah.
You've got to know what you're dealing with, and that's why. Yeah, there's been a lot of times we do our own cable access show, and we're lucky enough to where we can just do whatever we want. We interview people. We do ghost hunting shows. But one of the shows we just did featured a box. 200-year-old box that was supposedly cursed. Now, people had warned me against opening up this thing, and I had a really bad feeling about it. And I'm not going to lie to you, my hand to God, we opened this thing and an animal died and a person died the morning of, and then another animal almost died that night on the patio that was around when we opened this thing. I've never experienced anything like that in my life, and I believe in curses now, and that thing scared me because I thought curses were just hooey voodoo dolls. I really, again, urban legend. I don't really until I experience it, but this box was definitely cursed or had something attached to it that was just bad.
Wow.
And I wasn't prepared at all for that.
Wow, that's incredible. And that's the thing too. There are objects out there. I don't know if people realize that. Objects can be haunted as well, or cursed in this case, right? Something you thought was kind of, okay, yeah, cursed. That's kind of funny, but now you've actually experienced it.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure about that either. With the whole Annabelle thing, and I talked to John Zaffis about haunted objects. He believes that spirit can attach to an object, whereas Grant Wilson, I was talking to him about that at Para Unity. And Grant believes that spirit will remain with the object, that it could kind of come in and out because the object was important. Either way, they both kind of believe the same thing, that it is possible for an object to either attract the entity or hold the entity. And that's kind of out there as well, if you think about it, that you could actually acquire something like you see in these movies from an estate sale or an antique shop, and lo and behold, you've got your chairs flying around your house, Yeah. I never would have believed that until I saw what this box could do.
Oh, that's incredible. And now, JV. Yeah. I'm sorry, you were saying, John?
No, I said it was crazy.
I bet it sounds it. I hope, let me ask you, what happened to the box? I have to know now.
The box actually, is still kind of sealed and in a case somewhere, protected. And not to throw around names, but a popular TV person who collects these type of things is inquiring about purchasing it.
Who could that be?
I wonder.
His name was Jack.
That's what I was thinking.
What I'm saying.
And now, JV, you have the privilege of speaking with many amazing guests on your show 5 nights a week. Now, speaking of curses, demons, and stuff like that, I mean, you get so many different views on these things. I mean, what is your take on, let's say, some of the stuff that people think is phooey nonsense? Demons, demonic curses.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So, what is your personal opinion on demons?
Okay.
Being, a lot of people think demons are, they don't believe in it. Or even, and I added curses into, because John wasn't believing into curses. And I know you've had a lot of guests on, and sometimes that's the topic of the show. It could be a demonic episode, curses, this, and different things. Well, I'm just trying to say, what have you taken from what some of your guests have told you?
Well, we've had guests on, specifically when it comes to demonic type issues. We've had guests on that believe everything's demonic, and we've had guests on that believe nothing's demonic. I fall closer to the nothing than the everything, but I do believe there are some dark forces that people have to deal with. I don't know if they're demons per se, but they are dark, and they can be dangerous. I tend to appreciate somebody who walks into any situation with a good, healthy dose of skepticism. I think if you go in, and I'm sure John has encountered this, I know Howie has, but if you meet, there are some investigators who go in and automatically everything's either demonic or whatever it is. And that's not doing anybody any good.
The TV feeds that.
Yeah. And the movies, it's so popular right now. Demons are so hot right now.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And then you've got, exorcisms going on right, left, and every which way.
Yeah.
And
that's every show can have an exorcism.
These guys are ordained by an online course too to do them. That's kind of funny.
If we are in fact truly dealing with a demonic entity here, I don't think an online course is going to help you a whole lot.
Well, the funny thing that you mentioned that you brought up a good point, because we talk about this a lot, and I'm not a very religious person. I mean, I do believe in God if it comes down to it, but demons. I don't believe in angels either. I believe that, just like you were saying, if people are negative and evil in nature, like Charlie Manson, like Hitler, like Dahmer, then these entities, if they're still here, they're going to be the same way. They're going to be sadistic.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be evil in nature, but not demonic. That's my opinion, but I could be wrong. But,
yeah, that's a great way to put it, John. And but then you'll talk to somebody like, I'm sure most of you anyway, have met Bill Bean. He calls himself the spiritual warrior. Great guy. He will argue all day, night long that he has encountered demonic specifically, and I respect him enough to say, okay, well, maybe there's something to that as well. But I tend to lean toward there are dark energies, just like there are in life, there are after life, and that's probably what we're dealing with in those situations.
I agree.
All right. So do you think? I don't know really how I'm going to ask this question here. Now, like exorcism and stuff. I mean, have any of you guys been involved in any of that? For anyone that's watching that may be curious, I mean, is that something you think is more psychological within the person themselves? Or do you think they can be taken over by a dark entity, whether it's a bad human entity or if the possibility of demonic?
I'll add just this. I think that 99, maybe 99.5% of all of those cases are something going on internally, medically, mentally with the person who is quote unquote possessed. There are some that I'm unsure about, but I think that too many people are too quick to say, oh yeah, there's a demon inside that person, or there's a whatever it happens to be.
I would agree with that 100%. We actually have a psych nurse on our team, and when we go into a private case, we do an interview, and we need to know if there are any mental conditions, what kind of medications the client's taking, because JV's right. You really, if you do this and you do it a lot and you're dealing with people, you have to know exactly what you're dealing with. And when it comes to possession and demonic things, there may be something else going on other than paranormal, or evil, possession.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. And
you have to have resources. You better have resources.
And that's good for anyone out there that is interested in pursuing. And I guess that's where it's good to work with an established team, right? Because they'll probably have those type of measures set up to kind of pre-screen the client.
Right. Yeah. You should. And if you don't, you better know somebody out there who's been doing it a long time and who's experienced that you can at least go to and ask those questions. Mm-hmm. What do I do? How would I handle this? Should I even get involved in this, or should I contact you or somebody else? Don't just take it upon yourself to say, I watched season 4 of Ghost Adventures. I think I can handle this.
Yeah. And the most dangerous thing when you're ghost hunting is being in the person's house. You're in a stranger's house.
Exactly.
People are the most dangerous thing.
That person is.
And you don't know. I mean, you don't know what they're doing. That's the most important thing, is protecting yourself against that, because the chances of seeing a demon, I haven't seen one, luckily. But I mean, it's not like in the movies, and it's not like where everything's, I don't know, it's weird. I guess it interests people, the name, the demonic. Ever since The Exorcist, people have been always interested in that, but if you are involved in a situation like that, you're not going to want to be there, because I've heard stories. You don't want to be in that situation. It might sound cool, but you don't want to be in that room.
But I do believe in attachments. I do believe that spirits can attach, because I think I've experienced it twice, and it really is something you can't explain. It changes how you feel. It changes kind of how you think. You're sort of drained. And again, we were talking about exorcisms and everything. And maybe it is sort of a placebo thing to go to someone and have these things done to you. But after I did it both times, I did feel different. After I went through a Reiki session and I talked to someone who I trust and I've known for years, and I did feel different. But during those 2 or 3 days, it wasn't comfortable. I felt nauseous. I felt drained. I felt moody. And I really did believe I was in a few places that, something did attach to me.
Wow. That's incredible. one thing, I know you guys have taken time out of your busy schedules to join me on this stream, and I'd like to just kind of, we don't have too much time left, and I'd like to just kind of have a little fun and as obviously we're crowdfunding comics, we do comic conventions and things like that, and you gentlemen host conventions for the paranormal. JV, could you start off by telling us about yours?
Yeah, I started a convention called Scaricon, I guess 9 years ago now. It's a horror film / paranormal convention. Celebrities, vendors, panel discussions, film screenings, parties, what you'd expect at any kind of Comic-Con type event, but focused on horror and paranormal. I do it twice a year right now in Massachusetts in June and in upstate New York in October. In fact, not this past weekend, but the weekend prior to that was the event in Rochester, New York, and that's why I'm sick.
The con crud, is that what they call it?
Yeah, the con crud.
The con crud. Very cool. And when you're setting up your convention, what is it that you're looking for every year? Usually, is there one thing you're always trying to make bigger and better?
I think as I've done this, my first focus was getting people that other people want to meet and get an autograph from, a picture with, whatever it happens to be. We'll call them celebrities. We throw that term around loosely. But as I've matured in this, I've found that the programming angle, meaning that the panel discussions and the informative talks and presentations are becoming more and more valuable to me personally, plus I think to the attendees of the events. And, I love nothing more than putting together a programming schedule that when I walk into the rooms as these panels are being held, they're full and they're standing room only. And it's people asking good questions about really good topics. That part of it has become more important as I do this year after year.
That's a great answer. Panels are my favorite part of any convention that I'm involved with. John, same. How is it like with your convention?
Well, Scaricon is cool. I've heard nothing but good things. I do want to make it there one year, and I'm going to get up there. Horror Unity was basically there weren't any conventions in Jersey, not paranormal, that had celebrities. You had to go to Pennsylvania or these other places. And I'm a fan of the shows. I'm in the field. And at first it was sort of a grassroots. We didn't have really any celebrities. I think the only celebrity we had was Brian Cano at the time. But the idea was to try to do this and make it affordable. I am sort of a hippie mentality when it comes to conventions and things like that. I wanted to be the anti-con where we didn't charge a lot of money, where families could come. And every year we've grown this. And this year we've got a pretty big roster. Last year, of the people that are on TV, Ghost Nation, Ghost Hunters, Dead Files, Kindred Spirits, and it's only $20 to get in. And the lectures are $5, and we've got tons of vendors. We've got lecture series, food trucks, and really it is for the fans. I'm a fan, so I wanted to make it something that I would go to and say, "Wow, I paid $20 for that." And Howie was there last year. The vibe is really cool. People are just there that are into the paranormal, that want to have a good time and meet other people. And we've got nothing but great feedback, my partner and I, Chris Therian. And it's been a great experience. I love doing it. It's a lot of work. I'm sure JV can attest to that. But it's so rewarding. So, and we love doing it. So we're going to keep doing it and keep making it affordable. And, every year's getting bigger and better.
Now, what time of year is your convention held?
We're on May 16th. It's a one-day convention, May 16th, 2020, in Woodbridge, New Jersey. We actually have it at Woodbridge High School. The Township of Woodbridge sponsors this event. The mayor loves ghost hunting and the paranormal, so he got involved, and we've grown this thing together, John McCormick and I, Mayor John McCormick, and it really is different seeing a mayor there talk about this and coming out on ghost hunts with you, and he kind of talks into the K2 meter because he doesn't know how to use it. So he'll kind of hold it up to his mouth like a microphone, and I told him hundreds of times that I go, okay, you do what you got to do with that.
That is
but
awesome.
Yeah, it's all about making it affordable and giving people as much as possible for $20.
Oh, very cool. And when do you start promoting that convention?
May 17th. And literally, we finish one convention like this year, and then probably the next week or two, we're signing contracts for the following year, and we're usually promoting it within a month after the last one ended.
Oh, fantastic. And JV, when do you start promoting the next ScaraCon?
I'm already just like John said. I'm kind of a week late because I got sick. Since I'm every 6 months or so, I have to scramble.
That's gonna be crazy.
It's really hard for me to on an event ahead of the one that's approaching. So I kind of only have 6 months to put it together and promote it. So yeah, I got to get jumping on that. And it's kind of hard for the June show because the October show ends and then we're into Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's really hard to be focused.
You lose all that time.
Yeah. But we always have a great event. We're always excited about it, and people, and John kind of hinted at this too. Nothing makes it worthwhile for me like at the end of the event, and someone comes up to me and shakes my hand and said, "This made my year. This made my weekend, whatever it happens to be." And thank you for doing this. Thank you for bringing it to the community. When I hear that, then I know, okay, this is worth it.
Yep.
Yeah. And where is it? So the next one's going to be in June, JV?
It'll be near Boston. I've been in Framingham, Massachusetts the last couple of years, but I need to find a new location that's a little better suited for the way we like to lay it out. So I don't have that location yet, but I expect to have it in a couple of weeks.
By the way, that Howie, his list of demands, he's a big diva. So he wants green M&Ms. He wants
only the green ones. I said only green, and I mean. You got to put it out there in order to get treated how you want to be treated. You got to live that way.
Yes, for a special chair. I mean,
I did. And I'm over 40 now. I do need a cushion.
Yeah, and palm leaf fans. The people standing next to him with those palm leaves. I don't know. It's just a little much.
Yeah, I make JV come over to me if I see him. I wait.
You did.
I did. Well, I couldn't move at that show. The last one, I was dying. It was 1,000 degrees in there.
Degrees in that place, yeah.
Oh, my brain wasn't functioning. I was like, JV? Like, I couldn't even use my mind.
Was he like blurring in and out with multiple JVs in front of you?
Well, I thought he was like, what is that? A mirage, and you see water in the desert. I was like, JV, is that you? Like, I felt like a human candle. I was melting at that show. It was the July and the tent. We were being cooked.
We had that incredible heat wave. Yeah, it was.
We shouldn't have been in there.
And they put Howie in the worst possible spot. I think he made someone angry.
Yeah. I was like, I didn't want to be like.
I'm like, Howie, I've got a vent. I've got like a tube blowing air right on.
Well, I didn't understand.
I'll charge you $10 for 5 minutes if you want to come sit.
Yeah, I've done the magazine, and I'm looking over at across the way at another area is the Tabs Para magazine, and I'm like, I'm in that magazine. Why am I so far away in this tent where I'm dying? And I'm like, why is he over there? Should I be? And I know the people in that tent. I'm like, can you please just get me closer to people I know? Like, it was like, I said, I get you don't know me, but they know me. Can I just be closer to the people who do know me? Because if I'm going to die, I just want to be near people I know.
And Howie, what do you have coming up for conventions? Anything down the pike?
No, I believe we're all done for this year. My next, trying to think, I believe the next, I'm going to be doing, I believe in March is Feminology in Gettysburg, which is another paranormal con, which I'm very excited about. They're bringing that con back. And then I will have then Para-Unity in New Jersey with John. And we're going to be there and having fun. That was that really got me passionate when I did that show, because I've heard about it and it was right so close to me. I've never had the pleasure of doing a show that's so close to me. Usually I have to travel, but that one revitalized me. And I was like, why am I killing myself at other shows when this is my area, and it's just like, you just go through life, I think, learning lessons, and banging your head in the wall sometimes, and you should just go where things work and things click and you're happy.
And now
so that's what I want to do.
With your affiliation with Ghost Nation, with those guys coming back,
yeah.
I mean, that's a good thing. That's going to help you both, I imagine. And
yeah.
And
that audience
never went away. They've just been waiting.
They just been waiting. And
yeah, it's a good show. It's a great show.
Oh, yeah, I love the new show, and I'm
excited.
And Jay announced this, so it's okay that I'm designing some shirts for them, that official shirts, and that was always a goal of mine. I did tour shirts and stuff, and did the magazine, and I always wanted to do shirts, so I'm excited that that's going to happen. And it's great to see the way they do things represented again on television, because you can tell that they're friends, they have that chemistry, and it's really well put together. I mean, the stuff I was shown, and one of the video things, I don't think it's aired yet, but he showed me some footage that blew my mind. I mean, people are gonna probably flip out when you see it. I mean, because the cameras are so much better now. I remember the early show, and it wasn't. They were like pixels, and you're like, yeah, something I think moved. That was part of the fun, though. You're sitting watching on your TV, and you're like,
really,
pixel move.
Couldn't touch it, but something over there moved, guys.
Yeah. And the cameraman, you'd be like, I don't even think there was tweeting back then, but you'd just be like, why doesn't the cameraman move when they say what's that over there? Yeah. Damn it. So now they actually, the guys have their equipment, and they're setting it up and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting there complimenting. I was like, you guys, this has really got great cinematography. And I don't know if they got what I was saying, but I'm like, this is really
not to
beautiful.
Get off on a tangent, but talking about the shows, and I said this to Grant Wilson too. I said, as a amateur investigator or someone who's not on TV, and I shouldn't have access to the tech that they have with them being on TV. Yet I can get pretty much everything they can get.
Right.
And you would think that with the being on TV and the shows that they're on, that they would have builders, designers, engineers reaching out to them and saying, here's this thing that will hologram a ghost in front of you, and yet I guess the budgets for those shows don't allow for them to really go out there and purchase the best of the best or the newest equipment from what I
think Ghost Nation's going to have something new. Yeah, okay. I heard Ghost Nation's going to have some new equipment in one episode, and I didn't really understand what it was because my eyes crossed because I'm not tech savvy, Okay. I'm like, but they're supposed to have something new. But yeah, I mean, I thought there'd be because I imagine the equipment for my comics. Like, she can have anything. She can do exactly what you said. It can project the ghosts and show, and I'm like, yeah, you would think, I mean. You would think that would happen. I thought there should be equipment where you could scan the ground and see where a dead body's buried. I've always wanted X-ray. A cadaver finder. You find coins. Why can't we find bones?
That'll have people running out of the house. It'll be like the movie Poltergeist. There's what now?
Yeah. You're like, what's in my walls? Yeah. Especially in Jersey, there's. I guarantee there's a body in my yard, but that's all right.
All right, guys. Well, hey, I've taken plenty of your time. We've actually been on now for an hour. I know a lot of you guys have to get going and doing some stuff. So I just want to thank Howie, JV, John for coming on the show. Really appreciate you talking ghosts and the paranormal and your conventions and letting us set aside comics for the night to just have a great conversation. So again, I thank you guys for coming on. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And just so you guys know, you guys can head on over to beyondrealityradio.com. Again, JV, why don't you give a little pitch for the show?
Sure. We're on Monday through Friday nights, midnight to 2 a.m. Eastern. The show is on about 100 radio stations around the country. It might be on in a market that you're in. If it's not, you can also stream it live through our app. Or go to the YouTube channel, which is just my name, JV Johnson. We stream live there, plus there's an archive of episodes there. Tonight we're going to be talking about, we got two things. We're going to be talking about Houdini and his connection to Halloween, and we're going to be sharing listeners' paranormal stories.
Very good, and I will be tuning into that myself tonight. And you have quite a lively chat on YouTube when you guys are streaming.
Yeah, we do. They don't often stay on topic. They're all... But man, they have a lot of fun.
Yes. Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun chat to join. I've done it quite a few times. And John, you have welcome to New Jersey, New Jersey Paranormal website. Now, if anyone in the area has an issue or is looking for assistance, is this a good way to contact you?
Yeah, they can contact us through NewJerseyParanormal.com. You can go on Facebook and search New Jersey Paranormal. That's where all of our public ghost hunts are listed. We do them throughout the year. across New Jersey. We have New Jersey Power Unity Expo, which is our convention. And you can always search our YouTube show. Just go on YouTube and search New Jersey Paranormal. You can see our cable access show as well.
Oh, very good. And Howie, we've got. Are we? Let's just refresh this really quick.
Refresh.
Let's see. We're gonna refresh.
See what's happening. Come on, a little bit. Hey, a little bit.
Hey, a little up, guys. We've got 11 hours to go. 11 hours to go. And I'm gonna tell you what I pledged for, everyone. I pledged for the tickets. I pledged for the tickets, and it's 2 tickets, right, Howie?
Yes, you get 2 tickets. You get the book and a bunch of other stuff. And a big hug too. It's a ghost hunt. He got the big ghost hunt package, so you'll go ghost hunting with me and my wife Shelly. Every year we do a paranormal ghost hunt, and it's usually in the New Jersey or Philadelphia area, and it's one of a kind experience. We always have a blast. It's a small group, and you're able to investigate however you want, and you can come with us or you can go off on your own. Everybody has so much fun no matter what, and we learn a lot about the place and about the history, and then we just have a blast. It's very much in the spirit of the books and how we do things. We like to have fun, and also, while also taking the paranormal seriously. So I'm really excited that you did that, man. It means the world to me that you'll be joining us on that, because you know your stuff. So it's great to have. I love when experienced people come with us. Yeah. And I'm
gonna bring Billy with me. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah, bring Billy.
He was in the chat. He's like, Gettysburg.
Yeah, Gettysburg's gonna be fun. Definitely come. Bring Billy. That'd be great. Last year was my birthday, so I was surprised with birthday cake at a prison where about 10 feet from where they hung people. So it was very sweet. It was a very nice birthday.
That is awesome. That's awesome. All right, guys. Thanks again so much. Again, I really appreciate this. JV, as I said, a huge fan of your show. Oh, never miss an episode.
Thank you.
Keep it up, man. Keep bringing on these great guests. Keep doing. I love watching the live stream. While I'm drawing here, I usually have it up. I'll catch an episode amongst other things that I love to watch. John, it's so awesome meeting you, knowing about New Jersey Paranormal, your experiences. Love to have you guys on again, at another time if you're interested to continue the conversation. And Howie, as you know, man, you're family now, dude. Family.
Thank you. I will do the intros better next time. I really got trick-or-treated tonight, I felt. I was like horrified.
How we do the outro. I want how we do the outro.
Oh, I could do an outro. Hold on, I got to get another drink before we end this. Hold on. Well, you won't try an outro. Blah, blah, blah. Crowdfunding comics. The amazing Halloween special, Ghosts and Ghouls. Thank you for joining us tonight. And we remember, don't let the bed bugs bite. Is that good? That's terrible.
That was fantastic.
I'm not good at these things. I'm not good at these. I can draw.
Well, we got the professional right here. JV could probably sign us off.
JV, you do it. You're in radio.
Yeah.
I like yours, Howie. Yours was perfect.
Yeah. I thought it was good, but John tried to trash me.
Nah,
but that's all right.
It was great.
Hey, a quick question. Do you guys ever invite comic guests to conventions? Do you ever invite them?
My problem is that I just that's kind of outside of my wheelhouse. I'm not that well schooled in it.
Yeah.
Well, I can explain stuff to you.
Let's talk out.
I can tell you all about. I can tell you about what's going on.
We have Howie there, and that's about as far as we go.
Yeah, that's where they get with comics. That's where we're allowed to have one.
That's
one gateway drug.
There are some really good horror comics out there. Definitely are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't like them. No, I'm just joking.
I really like this comic, Paranormal, and
it's great.
It's on Kickstarter with 11 hours to go.
So. Yes. So everyone, head over to Kickstarter, back it, share it. Hey, if the funds aren't there right now this month, just share it on your Twitter, your Facebook, your Instagram. You may know one person, you may know 20 people. A share is always a great way to support a crowdfunded project. So again, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the show, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the night. Have a great show, JV. John, it was a pleasure meeting you. Howie, let's start figuring out what we're gonna do on this ghost hunt, buddy.
Yes, yeah, we got to figure this. Maybe we should wear matching outfits.
We're twinning. We're twinning.
Please,
That'll be different.
please wear matching outfits.
Yeah, we have to wear matching outfits.
And then like
That
every
really
five
shows you're a
minutes
team.
we have to have like a new selfie of some kind posted.
Yeah, that's the most important thing when you're on a ghost hunt. Selfies. That's what you want to. That's when you know you're real.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So again, everyone. So this is it for this week. We'll see you again next week on Tuesday. We'll have a new show. So look for those promos being posted. And again, gentlemen, have a great night. Thank you so much. If you want to hang out, please do. I'm just gonna do my closing screen. If you have to go, again, thank you, and hopefully we meet again. All right, everyone, have a great night and have a safe Halloween. And if you still have trick-or-treaters out there, just start dumping the candy in the bags, because if you're like me, I'm still on a Twix high right now. Good night, everyone.
Night.
Hey guys, thanks again for tuning into Crowdfunding Comics. We look forward to hanging out with all of our crowdfunding fans every time we go live. And don't forget to click the link below and subscribe to our channel. And there's a little bell, you may want to hit that too. This way you get all the great notifications when we go live and when we upload some awesome content. You want to follow us? Sure, go right ahead at Twitter at CrowdFundComics with an X, Instagram Crowdfunding Comics, and Facebook at Crowdfunding Comics. Till next time, crowdfunding fans, we'll see you soon.